Hi, my name is Tammy Moniz with Faith Surf School, and this is Surfers in Residence in the OUTRIGGER Waikiki Beach Resort. And today I have a special guest. It's a family friend of ours. His name is Billy Kemper. He's a world champ of big waves, crazy waves, and my friend, like my son, my family. And I just want to say thank you for coming and welcome to Surfers in Residence. And we're excited to hear your stories. Although I might know your stories.
Well, thank you guys so much, first and foremost. Between you and Outrigger, I'm honored to be in your guys' presence. And yeah, I'm here to share some stories and have a good time.
Great. Well, in Surfers in Residence, we like to celebrate our past, our history of the Duke and Kings and Queens right here in Waikiki. That is our backdrop, like so much history has happened. And at the same time, history is being made. And so in these times, I enjoy, having everybody meet you guys, and because you guys are creating new history. And in big waves, it has been a new kind of history of surfing. Do you want to kind of explain what has, happened since you've been?
Yeah, I mean, this is, to start off here, this is where we're doing the interview in Waikiki. This is, to me, when I think of surfing, this is where it originated. Like, this is what surfing is Waikiki Beach. And it's brought in so much, positivity, not only to the world, but most importantly to our community, to our families, to the people of Hawaii. It's such an honor to call this place home and to be here to recognize, from the Dukes to the Tony Monizes, Eddie Aikau's. There's so many people, like we said, the past, the present, the lost, the people who we still have here. Mm-hmm. I feel like here in Waikiki, it's such a great place to celebrate everyone who's a part of the ocean, whether you're a surfer or not. And big wave surfing came from here, and it took its turns and found its places around the world, from Australia to Africa to California, Hawaii. All these different continents and countries around the world do it in their own beautiful ways. And I feel like having the birthplace of surfing being in Hawaii, Hawaii is so well known for its big, heavy, powerful ocean. And as it started in small waves in Waikiki, that as the tradition moved on, it elevated to places like Sunset Beach, then to Waimea. And, as all the historical Eddie Aikau events ran, then became toe-in surfing. Toe-in surfing is really what drew me into surfing big waves. There was a group of people, Laird Hamilton would be the most well-known, along with Derek Donor, Dave Kalama, a list of unbelievable watermen, Brian Kealana, all these, pioneers of toe-in surfing. And when I was a kid growing up on Maui, they really drew my attention. They were modern day, they were superheroes to me. Like, they were my Spider-Man and Batman. Like, I seen them riding these waves, and it was like Spider-Man jumping, across New York buildings. Like, that's really what it was for me. Wow. And it just built from there. It took me to around the world, and it kind of just groomed me into, I feel like, the human that I was supposed to be. It makes you really, it humbles you. It makes you have patience. There's so much that comes with big waves. And I feel like it's really just kind of groomed me into who I am today. And I feel like with where we're at surfing big waves, it's crazy. I don't think I ever would have thought this was possible, but now being here, it's like looking at the future and the next, like what are they going to do? So
did you have that thought of when you were a young kid? I mean, I remembered you when you were like surfing. So like, what was your thoughts? Like, what were your dreams? Are you in your dream, or is this far beyond your dream?
I was like, as you remember, it was pretty rare for me to be holding a trophy at the end of every contest. Like, realistically, I wasn't your A-list surfer who had the Billabong, Quicksilver, Hurley stickers on the board. I was the kid who was probably one of the first kids there and the last ones there. I loved the beach, and it didn't matter what the conditions were like. I just loved being in the ocean, diving, fishing, surfing. And, surfing really had my attention. It was just hard for me. I wasn't as good as the other kids. Mm-hmm. And over time of learning how to work and finding, I think, what I loved most in the ocean, and that was adrenaline. I loved diving, shooting big fish, and I loved fishing, and I loved surfing heavy waves that just gave me adrenaline, and it became to take over my life as a young teenager. And you know, you kind of just fast forward time, and I just, you know, I always had the dream of, I told my mom when I was younger, like, I want to be a world champion. Like,
Really?
I was like, I want to be a world champion.
Wow.
And a few years back, I was gifted a wild card onto the Big Wave World Tour at Jaws, and as a local wild card, I ended up winning the event, which gave me a shot on the world tour. And the following year, I ended up winning the world title. And it was, I mean,
Unbelievable.
yeah, it's crazy
Unbelievable.
when I say it that fast. It's like, wow, it just, everything did happen really fast for me, and it all happened with children, family, wife, like everything came together. And that's, I think, why I've been able to find the drive to success, was through my family, through everything kind of just coming up at once. It was how to adapt in a fast situation, and to be able to is I think what's driven me past a lot of other surfers, and just given me success in maybe areas that aren't the most successful in surfing. You know, is where I could separate myself and do something because I truly just love it. It's not like I'm on the QS chasing events because my sponsors want me on tour. Like, this is what I love to do.
Yeah.
And you can take everything away, and I'm still going to be doing it.
Yeah, and you do. He does. You can try and take his body away, and he still tries to do it. And I'm just there going, oh my God, Tilly, please. Well, speaking of that, you know, I kind of titled this "The Man, the Miracle, and the Inspiration." And I feel like, you know, okay, Billy as the man, we talked about that. The miracle is, you know, he had a pretty crazy wipeout that knocked you unconscious. And he was close to death, and not just death, like drowning death, but actually like physically your body was crushed. And you have a document series going on about that, yeah?
Yes, right now we have an entire documentary series that we released with the World Surf League. It was sponsored by Ruka, A-Shock, and Reef, and it was also presented by Outside TV. You can find it on WSL homepage, Outside TV, or also on YouTube, and it's called Billy. It's, you know, a year ago, my life, as she said, was at risk. I took a very bad fall off the coast of Morocco in Northern Africa, broke my pelvis, destroyed my knee, collapsed my right lung, and, you know, I wasn't in a very comfortable place as far as for medical help. And that being said, I was luckily with my network, I have unbelievable amount of support through my family, friends, sponsors, and most importantly, just the surfing industry. The world that I live in is like, they support me so well, and I don't think I would be the same without them. And it's you know, it's not just one person, it's everyone. And they were able to medevac me home to the United States and get me through 4 surgeries and a handful of stem cell treatments, and about 6 months away from my family. So it was a long road, but I'm very proud of who I am after it all, and what I learned. I wouldn't change it now. Now I would put myself through that situation because it's navigated me to find strength in areas that I was looking for my whole life. Not even towards surfing, more towards family, more towards just being a human, you know, being present, being honest. I learned so much in the last year, and it was all because of what I went through, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm just really enjoying life right now, just very happy, and just present with my family. And I think that's, you know, what matters most.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and check it out. It's a beautiful, it's very, it's like when you just hold your breath the whole time, you know, and it's like, you know, what's coming kind of, but it's like, it was hard. It was actually kind of hard to watch, you know? And so, but you guys will enjoy it. And I just feel like how in the world did you film through those awful times, you know, and that takes a lot of faith as well, because you don't film things like that thinking, oh, things are going to get worse. You actually film it knowing that there's a miracle in store. Well, I would hope so, you know. And so that was, you know, beautiful to see. That was a very faith-driven, you know.
Yeah, you know, when I look back at it, what I look at most is that if I didn't film it, like, you wouldn't you know, a lot of people wouldn't be able to not feel what I went through, but just have an understanding. And if there's one thing I wanted to do with this injury was like how, you know, I have to be so selfish for the next 8 months if I want to continue to ever surf again, let alone like just be a dad and be strong enough to, you know, carry your kids when they fall down and whatnot. Like I had so many goals ahead of just returning to being normal. I wanted to win more world titles. I wanted to surf stronger than I did before. And with that being said, there were so many sacrifices that I had to, you know, check off the list of like, wow, I'm going to be away from my family, this. Like, how do I repay not only my family, but how do I repay the medical team, the support system that I had of the trainers, the nutritionists, the physical therapist, everyone, the people who drove me around. And it was kind of, you know, a couple people, myself, were just talking about making a series and seeing how much I've gotten from people like Kobe Bryant, from, you know, there's a handful of people, Mark McMorris, they, after these life-threatening injuries, they've made stories of how they've gotten back. It's kind of like a roadmap for a kid who, because I was sitting in a hospital and I had no idea what to do. How am I going to do this? What am I going to do? And watching Mark McMorris's Unbroken documentary, it gave me so much reasons why I had to do this. And I was like, nobody in my surf world has ever done anything like this to help the future, to help the next kid who gets hurt and tears his ACL to shreds in the World Juniors. And I was like, you know, I wanted to take a step out of my comfort zone in the surf industry, and I wanted to tell a story. And it's stories to be told in surfing are really hard. I feel like in the past, it's hard to, especially when a man is real vulnerable, it's hard to, you know, open up and tell them. And that was a risk that I was willing to take, mostly because of what I had went through just leading up to this injury. My upbringing it was far from perfect. I mean, you know, I had an amazing, I lost my brother when I was at 8 years old, but you know, I had a mom that was perfect, you know. I look at her like I look at you, just, you know, an all around, you know, beautiful woman inside and out who, you know, takes in all kids, you know, shapes and sizes, colors, it doesn't matter. It's just all about that heart inside of that body. And you know, after losing my mom and all this, there was just so many reasons pointing me in this direction of like vulnerable, you know, in like I had to do it in a way of just not caring about what other people say or think, and just do it because you know, there's so many people that I've lost that I know would push through anything like this. And I was like, oh, this would be nothing for them. So I felt like I was doing it not only for myself, but for the people, for the people who couldn't.
Great. Well, I'm sure that, you know, if your mom were here, she'd be so, I don't think she could be more blessed with, you know, the man that you've come to be and the changes that you've made in your life, that not only it's not just for you, but it's for your family, you know, and the generations to follow as you lead, you know, the community. I know she would be very blessed. I can almost see her smiling, and I still see her smiling. Like she always smiles. So good job, Billy.
Thank you.
Yeah. As far as like being an inspiration, as we're on the topic of family, I think one of the times where things switched in me when I watched you, you know, in your life, because we weren't that close when you were young.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that really had my eye on you was because it's not just these achievements in life, you know, it's a person and how they love and how they give. And when you know, Tahiti came into your life and you would take her boys surfing, and I just watched you, like I watched you a lot, you know, carry them, get all the stuff to the beach, the bodyboards, the softboards, and take them in the shoreline. And I'm just like, don't make a mistake, you're gonna kill, you know, it's like I was afraid, but I watched you and you just had so much fun and they had so much fun, and it just continues to this day. And it's just such a beautiful thing, you know, to embrace, you know, a child, to give to a child, and to be present to a child. So it's like not just your past that has, you know, helped you come to this place of being a man, and your decisions that made a change, but also what you're doing with the people in your life now.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like that's the one thing like I can pinpoint in my life, and like a turning point is taking in children that aren't yours at a young age. You know, I was young too, and I honestly didn't know what I was getting myself into at first. But in the back of my mind, I remembered being a kid and having a really bad, just a really bad thought of step parents, because my parents separated when I was 5 years old, and it was far from like, hey, we're gonna be on good terms. No, like it was the opposite. There was restraining orders, court orders, just like it was disgusting between my parents, and there was step parents that came in, and it wasn't it left a really bitter taste in my mouth growing up, like, ugh, stepmom, stepdad. Like it was just, I didn't like it, and I thought that it wasn't fair that I looked at other people, like my friends, like, oh, do you not like your stepmother or stepfather? Like I hated that. That is how I looked at life. I looked at people, and it wasn't fair. And I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to change and give other people, like give these children, and like, don't ever call me dad if you don't want to. Call me uncle, call me Billy, whatever you want. But like, just know that I'm going to protect you, love you, and provide for you like I, you know, like you're my own child. And, you know, it's been a wild, crazy ride. We have now 4 kids, added 2 to the other
It's
2.
wild.
So it's definitely a wild, crazy life, but it's fixed me. It's not fixed me. It's just, you know, shaped me to where I think I belong. There's so many mistakes in life that you have to be willing to take if you want to fix them. You know, it's like if you know you have issues, you have to pinpoint them and bring them to the surface in order to fix them and move on. And that's something that my children have been able to bring out of me. And I don't think I would be able to have gotten through a lot of life without them. And I'm just so grateful for my kids, my wife, friends, family. It's they inspire me, I think. And I think when they inspire me, I go and do my thing, and that goes on to the other people. So it's kind of, you know, it's all teamwork.
Yeah, that's so good. What is, you know, one of the biggest changes you made as a youth to now? Like, what is a growth change, a decision you made that made a huge turn in your life for the best?
Yeah, you know, I think just, you know, being honest and being present, like, you know, being there, not speaking on behalf of not being there, like just being there for your family, being that dad who carries everything down to the beach, and, you know, when the waves, some of those days when the waves are good, sacrificing those waves. I think, you know, honestly, putting children in my life really was the biggest change. Like that was like, oh, okay, this is the purpose of life, is reproducing and continuing our legacy of who we were brought up by. And I was brought up by the most amazing mother in the world, and I felt like that was my role after, after her passing. It was really to just make sure that my kids take on my family's legacy, and, you know, the way we raise each other and the way we treat each other. And it's just with love, you know, respect and equality. It's truly a blessing to be a part of this circle. And, you know, there's so many things that come with those big decisions as far as what you're going to do. And, you know, one for me was just, you know, the decision of sobriety, of being like, you know, what is alcohol? I was never an alcoholic or a drug addict, for one. I just, you know, I enjoyed drinking. I enjoyed having fun with my friends and going out, but sometimes I would enjoy it a little too much, and it would create, you know, energy that didn't belong in my family. It'd create, you know, arguments and just things that weren't I wasn't benefiting from them. I myself was not benefiting from them, nor was my children or my wife. And that being said, it played no role on being on the table that I sat on every day. And I swiped that off the table, and there's been nothing but positive and amazing emotions that came without drugs and alcohol. So, you know, I think that decision was just 2 years ago. And I feel like with the injury I've went through, life is really excelling for my family and I, and I'm really happy for what's next.
Yeah. Well, tell us briefly, like, about your wife, because obviously your success doesn't happen and this family doesn't happen while, you know, 4 boys, you know, all the diapers, all the food, all the mess, all the laundry. Like, you want to tell me a little about that girl, that little spice rat of yours?
You know, I'm for one like the ultimate mama's boy. I love my mom more than anything in the world, and she raised not only me, she raised the whole village. My mom raised every one of my friends, and I see that in my wife. She's just like, no matter how stressed out, how hungry, how much of a mess she is, she always puts our kids first. And I think that's like, it's something that a lot of moms out there need to take notes on. And I think her having mentors like her mom, my mom, and somebody like yourself and Hazen, there's been people in Tahiti's life that have mentored her. She has so much strong individual mothers to look up to, like, and I think you being one of the most important keys to her life, it's really made her such a beautiful person. And not only on the outside, what's inside of her and how much she sacrifices, how much she let go of, I wouldn't say let go of her dreams, but put herself aside, put me at the front of the pecking order, and put our kids right there. She was like, I want you guys to succeed, because when we're happy, she's the happiest. And it's very rare you find those emotions and those skills in a human. And I'm very, very blessed, honored, grateful. I mean, I don't know what word to put next to my wife. Without her, our family wouldn't have the structure it does. It wouldn't have the strength, nothing, it wouldn't be what it was. And that's the reason when I met her with her 2 children, I was, infatuated by the mother that she was to these kids, how strong their relationship was. It wasn't just a mom, like they were her best, they loved her, they would laugh together, dance together, everything. And it's a beautiful thing. I think her strength has driven me to where I am at, without a doubt.
Yeah, she can take things lightheartedly too. Like if you guys ever want to laugh, Tahiti Kemper is her tag on Instagram. Just go look at all the videos.
If you see me on a video on her page, it's probably like a roasting video.
It's a roasting.
So have a click.
Just have fun. She's my favorite.
Yeah.
I love when I see the videos come up. I'm like, yes, this is gonna be good, and it usually is. It's awesome. Well, lastly, I just want to get from you, like, so of all your life, right now, and you're still young. You have a lifetime ahead of you, and experiences and things, even dreams that will be, in the future. But like, what would you like to share to the younger generation?
You first and foremost love your mom to the maximum capacity. Not only your mom, but your father too. No matter what happens in life, the one thing that'll never go away is your family, and don't take them for granted. I've lost a lot of people in my life, in my family, and it's just one thing that you can't change. You never can take back. And those moments as a child growing up, like, less fighting and more loving, and, stay out of trouble, and just find, right now, like for me, is like, make your happiness your addiction. Like that's really what I feel like life should be about. Like I see so many people addicted to misery, and I hate it. Like I want to rip it out of them. And at a young age, if you can do one thing, it's just find something that you love doing, do it with passion, and make that your addiction.
Well, thanks so much. I'm Tammy Moniz. This is Billy Kemper. Watch his docuseries on YouTube channel. And till the next time, aloha. Love you guys.